Hello and welcome to Dance Talks. I'm your host, Andrea Cody. Today is March 4th, 2021, and my guest is Janie Yao. Janie is the founder and director of Dance of Asian America. Janie, welcome to Dance Talks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, well, we would love to hear about your story. Can you take us kind of from the beginning about how it all began with dance for you?
Sure. Well, I came from China when I was 7 years old. And before that, I really didn't have any dance experience in China. So my mother is actually a professional dancer. She danced with the Beijing Dance Academy and then taught at the Shanghai Dance Academy and also danced with them, with the Shanghai Dance Troupe. So when I came here when I was 7, she started me dancing pretty much at her studio, which was in our house, in our living room.
Awesome.
So when I came here, in China, it's pretty much like a whole family gets one room, right? It's very limited living space. And when I got here, we had one of those one-story houses that was like a 3 or 4 bedroom, and oh my goodness, I was just in heaven, I was just so excited, running from room to room. I counted all the rooms, including the bathrooms and the closets. And then a week later, they decided to tear up the living room and turn it into a studio, and I was just like heartbroken.
My house.
I know. So they tore it up, and it's funny. It's just a regular sized living room, not even very big, but it had the fireplace there. And probably everybody put their shoes and bags up there, and kind of started from there. And I kind of grew up in the studio setting, and then we moved the studio out after a couple of years to an actual studio. So I learned. My mother was. She's a very strong Russian ballet dancer, and she, of course, also had very strong Chinese dance training. So I pretty much learned those two styles growing up, and then I went to Houston Ballet when I was middle school, high school. So I went through the levels through there, so I did a lot of ballet training. And then, I'm sorry.
The doggies are playing with toys.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Shut up, no. And then and then I went to Southern Methodist University. I got a scholarship for a dance major. So there I got a lot of training for ballet, modern jazz, choreography, production, which I think was really helpful. And I really do love production. So when I came back to Houston, my brother and I, we pretty much started Dance of Asian America because she always had this school, but the problem with the school is just there's just not enough funding for public performances and really bringing the art form to the general public as a performing art. It's always more of a teaching aspect, which is, very important, educating the future generations. So then with the company, we were able to, slowly.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had our first show at the Hobby Center, Zelka Hall, 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Barely 500 people, and then we kept at it for a few years, and then moved to Miller in 2006,
Mm-hmm.
and probably had about a little over 500 there, and then built our audience from there. So in, I want to say 2008 to 2009, we probably had like 4,000 people
Awesome.
at Miller. So, I think one of the greatest things about Dance of Asian America and what we do is really just taking it and bringing it to the public and really educating the public and, youths and people of all ethnicities, and really just kind of helping them appreciate Chinese dance, Asian dance, and just dance as an art form.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So tell us a little bit more about your mom. That's Mitzi Shen.
Yes.
And what do you know much about? I mean, I'd love to interview her too, but like, kind of give us just a snapshot of how she trained. And I know she came to the United States maybe simultaneously or around the same time as Lee Sinquin, and I don't know if like their stories overlapped at all, but can you?
Yeah.
clarify?
So she came. Oh goodness, when did she come? Like she came. Let's see, when I was 2. Okay, so she came like 1983 or something like that, and then maybe 1982, and then she probably started her studio, started teaching. I remember she really had about 7 students to start, probably from the same family.
Yeah.
But and then the word got out that she's a great dancer and a great teacher. So well, I know like one of the things that she really wanted to do was to bring the Chinese culture to America, because one of the things that inspired her and made her want to come to America in the first place was when she was in China, there was the Cultural Revolution, right? And it really left, I mean, her family and my dad's family, they're all pretty well-off families, but with the Cultural Revolution, it really left them like penniless. And they had to work on farms, et cetera. You'll hear those stories. And then basically she would wake up in the middle of the night and just like go out there and practice on the dirt ground, and take breaks in between her farming and practice, and just like she was just really into it. But yet all they learned was a very strict almost like an army ballet. Everything was about communism, like even the dancing. So it was really restricted, and not only in like production, not that there were that much production back then, but probably in production, like the shows that they did, but also the storyline, and also definitely in the technique. So because there was not a lot of stuff, new things coming into the country, right? New people bringing things. So when they started opening the doors to after the Cultural Revolution was when Janie Parker came with Ben Stevenson. Ben Stevenson brought her to Shanghai, and that's where my mother saw her dance and saw other dancers, like they saw Romeo and Juliet and Sleeping Beauty versus like, the white hair girl and with Red Army guns, and just like, it's just very different. And it just made her realize that there's like a whole new world of dance, a whole other world of dance out there, right? Like so much more. So, and that's why I'm named after Janie Parker.
Yes. Yeah,
it's so funny because my mom can't even say my name. Like, she can't say Janie. She calls me Jenny or Janie or any form of that, except for Janie. But she just knew that was Janie Parker's name. So she's like, oh, I'm going to name her that. So
amazing.
Yeah, so it's so funny because I didn't have good pronunciation when I first came here. So I always thought my name was Jenny. And then when they called me Janie at school, I was like, they're like, aren't you Janie? Is that my name? So I learned my name when I went to school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, So, and then after we started, I'm sorry, where did I leave off with?
So let's see, just to catch everybody up, Janie Parker was the principal prima ballerina for his ballet, and Ben Stevenson was their artistic director.
Right.
And so your mom met them, was inspired. How did she leave?
Oh, well, yeah, that's a whole nother story with basically like she just, she applied to, for, to come out and learn and study dance. But I think she, got approved and my dad didn't get approved and then they had to go again and then they couldn't bring me, it was just like a whole, so I stayed with my grandma for like, 5 years, I didn't see them. Except with pictures. So, and there were really no FaceTime and no, not even phones really.
Right.
And whenever I talked to them, it was like this really long distant, like really muffled sound, right?
Wow.
Like it's really weird, right? Like I pretty much didn't have them in my life for 5 years. So
Yeah.
not that they didn't, I know like they really missed me, and vice versa. So
Yeah.
but so I'm not quite sure about this timeline with Li Shing. It's just that like I know that when Ben Stevenson came to China, he of course also went to saw Li Shing, and that's when he invited him to come and dance. And I remember when I was at Houston Ballet, I would see him, like having class and just rehearsal, and he's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So conversely, your mom made her way somewhat on her own.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So when they were able to come out, I think they each had $60 on them, and
wow.
That's it. Like they were not allowed to bring anything more than that. Maybe a suitcase full of stuff, and then $60. So it's pretty crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So when you first started dancing with your mom in the living room studio, did you want to be there?
Well, I mean, for me, dance just kind of like was like a part of my life. It was already like I was living in it. I mean, come on, right?
Yes.
I mean, even every day after school, I mean, there's dance in my living room, So it's
right.
kind of like it's already there. And then my dad taught violin, So it's so funny because when we moved to our first studio outside of the house, we had 2 studios, right? It was nice studios, and then we had a waiting room, and then we had a dressing, and then this area it's dressing room, office, and my dad's violin room, and all these rooms were adjacent, but the walls didn't go up all the way. So I want to say there's like a 3-foot from the top, like so. I mean, how did I end up playing violin? Well, I like lived in it. Like before I even played it, I feel like now I think about it, now that my kids are playing these songs, I'm like, wow, I can just sing it because I've heard it so many times, and I've, it's just kind of like through hearing my dad teach it, So same thing I think with dance too, I'm just there a lot, like, I mean, just kind of grew on me, so.
Did you ever question it? Did you ever think like, maybe you do something other than dance?
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of interests.
Yes, I know. Multifaceted person.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, I definitely love all aspects of life, and I definitely want to experience it. So, do yeah, I told my mom I wanted to be a veterinarian. Oh, she kind of laughed.
Okay.
Because she was, she's not really into animals to start with, and then she was just kind of like didn't get it. But I mean, like there are lots of things, I like. There are a lot of things that I was interested in, but I think I don't know. I just kind of dance just kind of fell in my lap,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's just always been one of the focal points of your life.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there are so many aspects of dance that I really do find really dear to me as well. Because, growing up in a studio, I probably started assistant teaching for her when I was in high school.
Yeah.
If not even a little younger, And then I just felt like it was now that I think back on it, I think it was a really good relearning or really detailed thinking through of steps, because it's kind of like you're pretty much breaking everything down when you're teaching. So
even
that's
correcting
why
mistakes that you see that you never made, but it makes you just reiterate.
Well, yeah, but I mean, also I think that's what makes me really good at like fixing, certain things, because I really do, enjoy seeing the progress of that, go into performance. And then After college, I think after starting Dance Formation America, I think I really do enjoy production because I do want, to bring it to the public. I think that is the most rewarding thing, dance is a way of communication, right? Why stay in the classroom?
Right.
Right.
And you are one of the only companies that performs not only like 50 times a year or 100 times a year in public, but doing these main stage, big,
Right.
full out productions at Miller Outdoor Theater with full lights and backdrops and costumes.
Whenever we can, yes.
Right.
So I think that's one of the other reasons that make our dancers really great, really presentable. So one time we had a performance and it was almost like a nightmare, like one of those that I dreamed about, but it actually happened. It was just at a school, so it wasn't a big deal. The sound wasn't working right. Basically, it kept going in and out, and then I finally ended up using my backup speaker, which was great. But before that, there was a piece that one of my really good dancers danced to, and the music just like cut out it would cut out like 3 seconds every 2 seconds. So it was pretty much like that, and she was on beat, like she did not miss a beat.
Wow.
And I was just so proud,
Yeah.
and then I think just the fact that they do it so much, that
Right.
they're like, it's okay, and they know not to show that there's anything wrong. Like if you were to play her video without music, you wouldn't even think there was any issue with the music.
She didn't flinch.
Nope.
Cool. Good job.
Love it.
Yeah, cool.
I always get off topic.
Well, so you're you are the expert in Chinese dance. Will you tell us what it is from a historic perspective?
Sure.
Okay.
So Chinese dance, there's tons of different styles, right? But there's really two main categories. It's the classical Chinese dance, and then there's Chinese folk dance. So China has 56 ethnic groups. You'll hear me say it so many times at my performances. But there's one ethnic majority, which is the Han's ethnic majority, and lots of that comes from the all that is from the classical Chinese dance. So, and there's Chinese folk dance, which resembles all the different ethnic groups, which is like the 55 different ethnic groups. I don't think every single ethnic group has a dance, but they do, but it's not it's not at the level of international performance level. You know what I mean? Like certain ethnic groups are more developed in their performing arts. So like when you see Mongolian dance, dive dance, Tibet dance, Xinjiang dance, and those would be Chinese folk dances.
So if you were to hone in on one of them, like dive, like how did that dance come to be? And like, is it a canon of movement or is it a canon of choreography?
So I think, for example, the dive, it's a very tropical region, and like bamboo forests. Also, the ladies there, different regions, they eat different types of foods. Usually they look very different. The ladies are very slender, just very, feminine, and a lot of the dances, I want to say, are also choreographed around their clothing. They also wear like slender dresses, so a lot of times their feet, you don't see them lifting their leg up. It's more of like smaller movements. Like I said, it's very tropical region, bamboo forest, so a lot of their arm movements are, and their body shapes resemble like the bamboos, like the shape of the growing bamboos. And with it being a tropical region, it rains a lot, so they also used umbrella in their dances. You see how it's kind of just all developed through like the lifestyle, and the traditions of the people in that area. So
Cool.
Yeah.
And it does coordinate with the costumes. Like that is kind of a part of what composes the dance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So how are they preserved and transported?
Well, I think over the years, it's developed more, right? So instead of completely wearing small dresses, they start wearing pants that look like a dress if you put your legs together, but then it allows you to kick your leg up and do some more, more contemporary moves, right? I think over time, all these dances have really progressed from a basic folk, like, hey, it's a happy day, let's dance in the yard, to, hey, let's enter a competition, and we might really need to put some skills in it, and then it's like, well, that's what we want to do, is let's bring it internationally, and let other people view it, and not just people in your backyard,
Mm-hmm. So you've described the classical, and what about the contemporary?
No, that was the
that was folk.
Yes.
Okay,
that was the Chinese folk.
Right.
Yeah. So the Chinese classical dance is more is from the Han's ethnic group. So majority. So that way they're more. I want to say it's like a whole technique style, like kind of like each group has their own technique style, like Dais, Mongolian, and then the Han's they have their own technique style, which is, I think, probably out of all the styles closest resembles closer to ballet, and it has a lot more technique, where they do have adagio, and they do have sautés, they have grand saut de chat. Of course, they're not called those.
They're not.
Yeah, they're called like stuff in Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then they have their own style of turns, and flip turns. There's so many different technique within that style. And a lot of the dynasties, for example, like the Tang Dynasty dances, or like the Han Dynasty, like the ribbon dances, the court dances, that the long sleeves, the sword dances, that they do. Those all fall into the classical Chinese category. So
it's a lot.
It is a lot, but it keeps things fresh.
Right.
It's good.
Right, and it's a lot of people, a lot of diversity.
Yeah, and that's why every year we're able to bring so many different styles, to our shows, and that's why every year we do different choreography, and
Yeah, when you say technique, are the moves called the same things throughout the different classical and folk styles, or do they all have new names?
It's all quite different. Like, for example, this is like the classical Chinese dance hand, and this would be like the Dai Chinese dance hand, and then they also have the peacock Chinese dance hand within the Dai, and then they also this is the Dai, and this would be like Mongolian, and then Xinjiang is more like of a flower, instead of totally straightening. So there's just so many.
Cool.
Yeah,
it reminds me of the mudras in Indian dance.
I know. Yeah, they definitely have way more hand movements than much
than
more intricate
anywhere else in the entire world.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
Okay, well, cool. What's your creative process when you put together a show? How you said that's how we are able to bring so many different looks?
Well, I think, there were two different approaches that I did in the past decade, almost 2 decades of our shows at Miller. Is we did East meets West. And the reason I did that is because if I just said, hey, come watch this show about Chinese dance, I would probably get, 20% of our actual people who are interested. So, but I wanted to bring people who are just in general interested in dance. Why not? Why not just experience it and see if you like it? So for East Meets West, we would have ballet, modern, jazz, just contemporary dance, or
through guest
tap.
companies.
Yeah, well, we also do, my dancers also do modern, and we also do some, but yeah, we definitely, and also one of the biggest things is we want to work with other companies, right? That's what dance is all about, is to get together and dance. You know how it is, Dance Houston, I know.
Yes.
So that's one of the, so from East Meets West, I think a lot of people, they came and they're like, I don't think I'm going to like it. And they're like, oh, it's not that bad. And then the second time they'll come and they're like, oh, whoa, kind of addicting, kind of like it, you know, and then they'll come back. So then that's how we build our audience. We had so many people who are just, who just kept coming back, and they're like, every time is a little different, but it's all kind of catchy. It's all kind of, it's new, but it's interesting. And if you don't like it, it's, 3 to 5 minutes of your time. We move on to the next piece, So this is one thing about Miller too. We don't want to do it like a closed box theater where it's like I do enjoy the full length pieces as well, but we just can't do it when we're introducing people to new styles, And I want to say, not only did East Meets West introduce non-Asians to Asian styles, it also worked really well vice versa, because I feel like a lot of Asians, first of all, they don't see art a lot. They don't see a lot of ballets. They don't see a lot of, point or, like
tap and jazz.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're seeing it and they're like, oh, that's a nice excerpt from Madame Butterfly. I might want to see the whole ballet. So I think it really did work both ways.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and so tell us about Splendid China.
Yes, and that my other approach was Splendid China, which was like, let's see what we can bring from the other side of the world, and see how it goes. And it was actually really popular. We had Splendid China was 2 nights, and we ran that for 15 years. And every night I want to say we had about 3,000 to 4,000 people each night, and it was just, I think it was just really great for, and it's funny because I'll see people randomly and they'll be like, oh, do you know about this this show at Miller where they bring over guest artists from China? I'm like, yeah, tell me about it, and they're like, oh yeah, it's like really good. Every year they do like something different. They like, it's always something new, and I'm like, yeah, who's it by? I mean, a lot of times they're like, that's when they kind of stumble. I think Dance of Asian America may be a little hard to catch, but yes, they're talking about our show, which is really neat, which is really great that we were on people's minds, in their hearts, and they wanted to share it with somebody else, and they can't wait for it every year, so that's really great. But due to the pandemic, we are actually changing things around. I think the whole art world is changing things around. But I think, definitely traveling is hard. International travel is not really great right now. And also, I think American artists are hurting, So what we really want to do is provide work for people here, local artists, So, and honestly, after 15 years, we've had the Shanghai Dance Company, the Nanjing Dance Company, China's National Song and Dance Troupe, Beijing Dance Company, China Dancers Association, and more. So I'm just we're a bit exhausted on, the styles too, where I feel like our audience needs a bit of a fresh look too. It's kind of like, we need something new, because near our last, I think 14 or 15 year, kind of was talking to the companies, and they're like, how about this dance? I'm like, oh, we already did that. How about this? Oh, nope, we just, so we kind of want to bring out like new things too. So I think this is a great time. That's why we're going to do a kind of like Well, we did like a contemporary world festival where it's more of a international mix, but actually I think there are two takes. One is like a contemporary world festival where it's like an international mix of styles as well as cultures. And of course the other take would be like zoning in on Asia, because I feel like we need to explore not just China, but so much more of what's around us. I mean, Chinese dance forever will be on our program, of course, because, you know, that's my homeland, you know, where I'm from, so of course. But I definitely would love to explore the other styles as well. I mean, we're Dance of Asian America.
Right. Will you please tell us about contemporary dance in the Asian region, what you know about it?
Well, yes, it's gotten really popular. I want to say there are more modern dance companies in China, like contemporary dance companies, than ever. I feel like it's just, I mean, it's really gotten to be one of their main styles, you know, too. It's like before in a dance academy department would just be like classical Chinese dance or Chinese folk dance, but now it's like modern dance, or, you know, it's just contemporary. There's so many different styles. So I want to say definitely contemporary modern would be more popular in China versus jazz or hip hop, which I feel like they have a totally different take than you know, what's out there in the world. I'm sure they'll catch up. Yeah. So, but
I know we had Moon D here for several years, and he returned to China.
Did he? Okay.
I heard he did.
Okay.
I wonder what he's doing. We'll have to reach out and catch up with him.
Well, China's really
I don't know if I said it. He's a hip hop choreographer.
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, well, right now I think there's, well, actually no, I want to take that back. I don't think, I think it just depends on where you go for hip hop, right? Like I think Moon was really pretty awesome, and also a lot of the people maybe that I see on TikTok, and you know, like those are like pretty. Some of the stuff that I've seen in actual like department, you know, like dance departments and stuff, not Studios. As much. Yeah, it just seems like it was more of a freelance like thing that needed to grow more. I don't know.
I can see that even here a lot. Where if it is a traditional studio that's like teaching ballet, tap, and jazz, they may offer hip hop because people are calling for it, but that's not hip hop. But
it's hip hop 101.
It's close. Yeah. How is your company handling the pandemic?
Well, I mean, you know, like I think it's like all the arts organization, it's really hard. It's kind of shocking, you know, at first, but I think now we're dealing with it, and we've done virtual shows, we've done some outdoor shows. See, the thing about it is just like we actually work with other companies, we actually work with other venues in presenting our shows to public. So, and with that being said, you know, a lot of it's postponed or canceled, or you know what I mean? So, but I think, we've been doing a lot of classes online. I want to say I'm ready to go back. Like I think it's come May or June. I mean, everybody who wants to be vaccinated is going to be vaccinated. So, we got to start living, you know, we can't hide out, you know? So I think, I see a return to normalcy somewhat, you know, in the summer. Yeah. And we have a show coming up in October. Hopefully it'll be, with audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live audience, in-person audience.
Yay.
What are you planning?
It's at Miller, and basically from the 2 ideas that I talked about, like a contemporary world festival slash exploring Asia, you know. So I kind of maybe go from Asia into the world, or, you know, just kind of something that just can encompass more of the arts community, and also just really let our dancers explore the different realms of styles. So
cool.
yeah.
So your dancers will be learning styles outside of China?
Actually, they do. I actually have a really great Korean.
Yes, you do.
Yes, she is really great. And the great thing about her is just she is a contemporary dancer. Like, she is a Korean traditional and contemporary dancer, which is so great because you know, I like it because that's kind of like what I am, you know. Like, I definitely do traditional Chinese classical folk, but then a lot of times I put my contemporary style into it, because really, you know, to speak to more people, I feel like you gotta be more updated, you know, like, and you gotta be not just, I mean, I do completely respect the traditional styles, you know, but I think it's nice to have the fusion of something else, you know, in it too. So yeah, so we're definitely exploring, and, you know, I have another teacher that is from Taiwan. So, you know, like, we do like different things. And then also, I mean, we are also going to be exploring, like different styles. We'll see. I mean, all our dancers are very versatile in the dance styles anyways, as in like ballet, modern, you know. So we want to utilize, we want to be versatile in style as well, not just a culture, you know. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Yes.
New dances.
Me too.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I know. So I just hope, because I do have a lot of, you know, conservative clientele. I mean, you know, I just hope that people are going to, I never want to pressure anybody, you know, to come, but it's funny because a lot of them do pressure me. They're like, hey, come on, let's go. I like it. I think it's really good that they want to dance, you know, and that they're like ready to go.
Yeah. It's been a long wait.
It really has. It's been a whole year. You know, I think, I feel like instead of shutting down in March back then, if we just all wore a mask and just continued on with life, I think we would be okay. What do you think?
It should just be up to you to navigate it.
Yeah.
My family's healthy. We're young and active, and we also are somewhat risk takers.
Yeah.
I'm a risk and I take a risk in just working in the arts, you know.
Oh yeah.
Creatively, economically, physically. So I'm pretty open to taking risks, and I've been fine with whatever anybody else wanted to do. That being said, you know, I don't have like a 93-year-old grandmother. My grandparents are long gone, and I don't, you know, there wasn't anybody around me that I was gonna see. So I can completely understand that, you know, when people, like, the buck has to stop somewhere, you know, when you do have someone in your life that not only is vulnerable, but doesn't want to take that risk themselves. That, you know, if you're going to be with them, then, you know, you do have to take it upon yourself to figure that out. So, I mean, I think looking back, yeah, I've definitely just missed everybody. And we had a camp last summer. We started off just normal. A mask order was put in place, I think, about 2 weeks into the camp. So, you know, at that time we followed the law.
Yeah, they didn't really put the mask order in until summer, huh?
Yeah, I think it was in June. Yeah. So,
yeah.
you know, I mean, of course, like, we're not rebels, but.
Oh, yeah, no. I think it's, yeah. I think it's great that you had that for, you know, because at that time, I think kids were already locked in their homes, you know, for a while, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's so, I mean, I like you, that dance is so close to me and I love it so much, and our most expressive feature is our face and our mouths. I mean, maybe our eyes too, but I mean, it's all in there. We say so much there, and nonverbal, you know, cues and just what we're really thinking, and our beauty too. You know, just how we look, what we look like, who we are, in that sense. And having kids, I just want them to be able to smile at each other and at their teachers, and give everyone the joy that, you know, only a child's smile brings, you know, their cute little teeth and little mouths and silly faces, you know. So those are things that are part of the joy of life that we miss, and so I believe in thinking about, like, the trade-offs of, you know, how long are we going to give up our ability to express ourselves and to see each other, to witness each other, to appreciate each other, you know, that in that way,
right?
Because it is something. And the kids, like you said, they were already locked in their homes.
Well, I mean, for sure, our generation, the next, you know, that generation of kids is really going to be affected. You know, it's really affected them this whole year, and it's probably going to carry on in this year for at least a bit. You know,
right. Growing up, dancing for me was something that I did out and about. Like, we didn't have phones.
Yeah,
you had to make your own fun. You had to go out there and just, like, literally start dancing to have a good time. And you were living for the moment, for the people in the room, for the people in the audience, for the band, for each other. And there was no one taking any pictures or videos. You weren't thinking ahead of, oh, well, maybe this moment, you know, will be captured and shared online, and then it'll, like, take off, and then I'll be this whole other person because people will, like, know about me or something.
Right.
Like, all of that did not happen.
Right.
And so it was fun, and it was all very spontaneous and improvisational and interactive. And so then, like, with the phone and, you know, the last 2 decades, I felt like so many things about that live, in-person, interactive experience of just being social ended up being this thing where all of a sudden you're at a studio training to get to a point where you can take a good video or photo of yourself, and that's, like, the point.
Right.
And so already there was that kind of breakdown.
That was pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah,
we were already going in this direction of just kind of like, it doesn't matter who you are. You know, like,
and when you take a picture, when you take a video just to have, and, you know, just to keep for, and then it's always like, is it going to be online? Are you going to post it? You know, and there's always that.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons to do it. It could be, you know, professional, like you want to get a job, you want to get hired, you want to get famous, you want to get a date. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff but it's this real world / internet world that are interacting and always interplaying and, you know, even as a parent, like, I have to, it's a lot of times when I see something amazing that, you know, my kids are doing, like, I'm like, I kind of wish I was videotaping it, you know, but, like, that little thought goes through my head really
but then you're like, I really just want to watch it.
I really just want to watch it. I'll survive. Yeah. And I don't have a photographic memory, but, like, I can remember, you know, my life without documenting it. So finally, in the past year, it's like everything went online, you know, and that just, I don't know, there's just something about life that to me is not about, like, staying at home on my phone.
Yeah.
And I think I would say like 90. I would prefer it to be like 99% of my life is not staying at home on my phone.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what we always wanted, like when we go, you know, like when we went out, like we would always not ask the kids to be on devices or like go jump in the pool or stuff. And now it's kind of like, well, did you not finish your work? Get back on the computer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, oh my goodness. Like, we're asking our kids to, you know, make sure they turn on their cameras, make sure that they're, you know, it's the virtual learning that they are forced to be in that setting. So hopefully that will end soon, because they really need to get out of that, I feel like. Yeah.
And there was always a bit of a gray area with dance in Texas, because it was like, you are supposed to distance and like wear a mask, but then it was like, or is this a gym? You know, like if it's because if you're working out,
I know,
you know, then obviously it's a health risk. And so like I think there was a little bit of kind of confusion, or it just wasn't, it wasn't stated in black and white, you know. So it was like, do you take the liberty to say like, hey, you know, I'm basically sprinting out here, like I need to be able to take a full breath, and then there's a lot of dances that are partner dances or group dances, and there's a lot of counterbalance, you know, that you just have to do with other people.
It's not even that, it's just being in the same room. It's like, you know, I just before the pandemic, I just never even thought about, like, you know, because we just do it, right? We just do a group dance, or we just don't even think about how close you can or can't be, you know. So,
of course.
yeah. But you know what's funny is that all we have is like online, right? And then the weather hits, right? And then we don't even have electricity.
Right. That was
so I was like,
blow.
Okay. It's like, God's like, are you not happy with your online Zoom? None of that for you guys this week.
Okay. Right. Yeah, it's been a lot of family time.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
You and two boys.
Golly. So you're the mom now.
Yeah.
You're the dance mom. How is it now?
I wouldn't say I'm a dance mom.
Yeah.
You know, like I encourage my kids, because one thing that I think I really missed out in my childhood is having the other aspects. I didn't go to camp, you know, for other things. You know, I went to summer intensives, or I never really did other things that would have made me like. I was always pretty good academically, you know, like good enough where I didn't really, you know, need to do the other stuff. But still, I mean, of course I didn't know everything. Of course it would have been great if I'd done a science camp, or if I, you know, learned how to play chess when I was young. You know, just all sorts of things that I could have done to expand my horizon. And I like to do that for my kids, you know, and I do, they definitely dance, you know, and one thing I think that really gets my daughters as well as my other dancers is just, it's like, you know, we have performances set up usually. It's like, okay, let's get this done. Let's get it to public, you know, and it's always exciting. Now, you know, there's just like not that, right? So, but yes, we are heading back in that direction. So, you know, I think it's exciting, you know, for that part is really exciting for them. And I know one of my kids, she's, you know, for example, like when they're 10, they perform at Miller Outdoor Theater for 5,000 people, you know, and they look out in the audience, they're like,
right,
you know, they like, and they're during rehearsal, you know, before pre-show, they're all like kind of really nervous. I remember one of them will actually throw up, and like one of them will actually have a stomach ache, you know, they're just really nervous, you know, they got butterflies, but they do a great job. And after they perform, they're like, can we just do that again? Awesome. And I'm like, you know, it's so great, you know, like they would just want to do it again. They're like, wow, they love the adrenaline, you know, of being out there, you know, and it's just doing it more to get the butterflies out, you know. So
yeah, I
think it's great training for anything. Let's say if they were to give a presentation, you know, at any company later. So it's great.
Life's a dance.
Yep.
You gotta be able to get out there.
Yep.
And show yourself.
Yep. Doesn't matter what you do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So do they like it?
They do. they do. They're not, I wouldn't say they're like born dancers, you know? Like, I mean, but I think they definitely benefit a lot from it. Like the discipline, the, technique, and the presentation, the performance, the confidence building, learning their own heritage, I think there's just so many benefits that they're getting from it.
So you've been at this for a long time. You're maybe like mid-career. How do you define success? How did it start for you when you started Dance of Asian America? Like, what was success going to be for you? Have you achieved it? And then, like, what is it now?
Well, I mean, because Dance of Asian America is a nonprofit, So always in my mind, I've always thought of it as a service for the community, because really it's like, we just want people to really appreciate, and I think in turn that really brings harmony to the world, Houston, like the rest of the world, is a melting pot, so for you to just see somebody and realize, oh, okay, you're not just Chinese, but you could be from a different part of China, and maybe, Chinese food is not just Chinese food, and you know what I mean? There's just so many, it's not just one style fits all, so it's really rewarding, So I think success have always been different, when I was younger, when I'm assistant teaching even, I just wanted to get the thought process across, as to how we can fix that issue or whatever that is. And that was always really fun for me in teaching. Like, are we able to help that person? And, and I have dancers that come to me when they're not so young, but maybe in their teens. And I'm like, you know what? No worries. You haven't had dance. Well, welcome, and we'll catch you up, and we catch them up, with, one-on-one classes, and they're, they're amazing, So, and that's part of, I think the success of teaching for me, and the joy of teaching, really. And then I think production, going from 500 to 5,000 a night, I feel like it's not just, production I enjoy, but it's not just that, it's just the sheer joy of having people love what I'm able to provide, And also, I think when we went to America's Got Talent, it was just like, wow, I didn't know that, people were interested, on a national level, and that, we could bring that to millions of people. That's just pretty awesome,
Right.
So,
it was an awesome performance. I'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Thank you.
And with that show, so you were representing Mitzi Dancing School, and it was still Dance of Asian America performing.
Right. That was before.
There. Mm-hmm.
Right. That was before somebody else took over Mitzi Dancing School. Mm-hmm. So in 2015, in 2013 was when we went to America's Got Talent, but 2015 was when somebody else took over Mitzi Dancing School. Mm-hmm. So my mother, Mitzi Shen, and I, since 2015, do not run Mitzi Dancing School. We've been running Dance of Asian America. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So actually, originally, America's Got Talent had called Dance of Asian America, on our video, because due to our public video. So regarding the 1,000 hands dance. Oh, and this is what I was going to say is just it's just really interesting because the actual 1,000 hands dance is quite different. If you watch the original from our actual versus the performance that we did for America's Got Talent, because I really had to condense everything down to 90 seconds and really kind of just keep it fast paced and moving, which is a really great experience for me as a, on a production aspect, because I just really learned a lot. I was like, it made me, it's just like, when we went to New York, we had a piece prepared, but it really was totally different from what we ended up putting on there, because there were, I don't know, 6 to 8 directors of AGT asking us to make this part more exciting, take out this part, and really all great suggestions, but not that they didn't really know particular choreography or dance, so they were just asking me to kind of basically re-choreograph, a lot of it. And it was pretty stressful. It's funny because we spent so many hours in the Rockettes rehearsal room, and then we would see these groups of people that would tour the building and walk by, and we were so busy that we didn't even take a picture. I mean, people came and literally took pictures, and we were just busy rehearsing, and we didn't even think to take a picture in the Rockettes rehearsal room. And we were in there for I don't know, 4 hours a day, or something at least. So it was just
focus.
Yeah, it was such a great experience, Yeah, so and music-wise too, I think it was really well received on AGT because we had changed. I literally made 9 different edits of the music. Wow. And literally I used music. I went through music from, tons of music from Hans Zimmerman, and I went through the Dark Knight music, and just lots of soundtracks, and Kung Fu Panda, which was what we ended up using, but I ended up using various tracks from Kung Fu Panda, different movies, and just kind of editing it together. And still, that wasn't the final. When we went there, they made the ending bigger because I on my software was I did the best I could. Yeah. Wow. So it was really great. I enjoy doing that too, I really enjoy kind of putting it all together, seeing it come together. So, I think the fact that working in production and also on a TV setting, I think it was really great, right? For me to experience that, because now, we just recently did a mayor's
Christmas
holiday spectacular. Yeah, and that was also a production, and boy, did we give him a production,
It was amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll put a link to that too.
We really only put that together in 2 weeks, 3